For the last part of my three-part educational series, I will be covering the strategist role, and what better way to show it than the new character that has been released in the very new season, Gambit. Now, Gambit, in my opinion, Gambit is one of the most complex kits that the game has to offer, while at the same time being at the absolute peak of the game design when it comes to a character, because there's so much that this character can do. And in this video, I will be exploring how to play this character and how you can carry your games on strategists with Gambit. So to start off, let me describe how his abilities work. You've got kinetic cards, which is his primary fire, and it does a very good amount of damage. It does 60 damage in total if you hit all three, and it heals around 78 total. Actually, it heals for 90 in total volley, so it does a lot of healing. So his primary fire has a ton of healing. And then to get into his abilities, I'll start with his movement abilities first. His shift is the Cajun charge, which is just a dash. It's a dash, and you have two charges, and it's just a 8-meter dash. And then his right click is Bayou Bash, where he slams his staff on the ground, and it heals both himself and his allies for 60 hit points, and has a 5-meter radius. Now, if you combine the Bayou Bash with his Cajun Charge, which is the dash, it extends the dash into like into a charge, and this deals damage, and it also heals allies if you dash through them or if you dash through enemies. Now let me get into his cards. Gambit has two sets of cards. He has his deck of spades and he has his deck of hearts. Let me describe how the deck of hearts work first. When you press F, he enters his deck of hearts state, where it doesn't really give him any boost passively, but now you can press F or E to choose which ability you want to use. If you use Purifying Pickup, which is his F, it rebounds a set of cards between allies that heals them a lot. So this is like your burst healing ability. And then you have sorry, this is Bridge Boost. The other one's called Purifying Pickup. So Bridge Boost is the E. So F is the Purifying Pickup, which basically cleanses. When you press that ability, it cleanses everything, every sort of crowd control ability, and it also heals in an area. Now this ability is very powerful, and it should be your bread and butter tool that you use to save your teammates from any sort of threatening tools that the enemy can have. So like you can cleanse a Groot, you can cleanse Emma Grab, you can cleanse basically almost any form of CC. So this is a very powerful ability. And then you have the deck of spades. When you enter this state, Gambit gains a passive damage boost, and this damage boost is 15%, so it's a very good damage boost and makes him deal a lot more damage. So you can use this deck of spades card during the neutrals to do more damage, and also to take duels against the enemy DPS if they decide to dive you. But another reason why you want to use the deck of spades is to use his bidding barrage. Sorry, not bidding barrage, explosive trick, which is his F. When you press his F, it shoots out a explosive projectile that deals 70 damage and applies an anti-healing for 4 seconds at a rate of 30%. Now this is a very powerful tool to focus down a target, because if you, for example, use this on a tank or a squishy that is out of position, or just in the front line in general, and you focus fire them, they will die because they cannot get out healed through all that damage. It's basically a really good tool to focus down targets, or to cut off healing from anybody that's trying to duel you. It's very powerful. So you should look to use this ability as much as you can proactively to gain value. The other one is Bidding Barrage, which is E. This is just a knockback that also deals damage. Now you can use this ability to just cancel mobility, but there aren't really. I wouldn't use this ability a lot because there really isn't much use cases. Just using the anti is way better in general than using the knockback. I would only use the knockback to deal with enemies that have movement to throw them off and things like that. But I did forget to mention that the deck of hearts does have a passive. It has a passive of self-healing. So you can use the deck of hearts if your other support is dead, passively just to regain your HP. Now, this is where the complexity in Gambit's kit kicks in. Because whenever you enter a state, you are going to be in that state until you have used another card, or the duration of the state just runs out passively. And the Gambit only has 4 cards, as you can see in his passive meter, while you watch the gameplay of me playing him in the background in a ranked match. And so you need to be very careful and very wise in how you manage his cooldowns. That's the key when playing this character. You always want to manage your cooldowns very effectively. You want to know in what situations you should be using which deck and when. So I would say, as a general rule of thumb, during most fights, it's okay to not enter a deck state at all and just be passive and react to what the enemy is doing. So you play this character sort of reactively at times so that you have a card for when you actually need it. Like for example, let's say you end up entering the deck of spades, and the enemy team uses a good ult or like a CC ability. Now you cannot cleanse it because you're already in the spade stage, so you need to get rid of another card to get in, and by that time it's already too late. You get the point. So you always want to be ready to use the situation. So that's what makes this character have a really high skill ceiling. And what that means is that the potential of what you can achieve with this character depends uh, almost 1-to-1 on how well you can play him. So that means that if you can get really good at this character and master him, he can take you very far. So that is the baseline of his kit, and now his ultimate, Raging Royal Flush. This is arguably one of the most powerful ultimates in the game because it does a ton of things. Let me break it down one by one. So the ultimate, when you first cast it, it purifies. What that means is that it also cleanses. And this ultimate, the way it works is it applies to all your allies and yourself within a sphere in front of you. So you want to make sure that all your teammates are standing in front of you when you cast the ultimate in order to ensure that they all receive it. If they stand behind you as the Gambit, they will not receive your ultimate. And it goes through walls. All you need to maintain is line of sight within your teammates in a range of 40 meters within front of them, and they will get the boost. So there are 3 things that the ult does. The first thing is that it gives them enhanced damage. So targets that are affected, they will do 20% more damage. It gives them 50% more movement speed, gives them higher jump height, and it also when you first cast it, besides just cleansing, it also insta heals them for 100 HP. So you can also use the ult to cleanse people. For example, if they get Groot ulted, you can ult and it insta cleanses and saves their life and also heals them up. So it's a very powerful ult that can be used in a variety of different situations. But I would argue that the best way to use it is to just pop it as soon as you get it in order to win the fight. But it can also be used mid-fights if your other support gets the ult first and uses it first. So Gambit ult is very strong and it lasts a total of 10 seconds. But you have to make sure that as the Gambit player yourself, you do not die because the healing over time in this ult is only 75 per second, which is not that much in comparison to the other support ults, so you can be focused through this ult. For example, if the enemy Gambit decides to match your ult and decides to anti you while you're in it and they focus you, they can easily kill you through your ult. So you have to be very careful about that when you're using the ultimate ability. Because if you do end up dying, the ultimate ends for all your allies. They lose the ability and they pretty much lose the fight because they're at a disadvantage of not having the ult. So you need to make sure that when you Gambit ult, you play it in a safe way in order to ensure that you are not the one that is dying. But yeah, that is basically a breakdown of his kit, and the best way to play Gambit is to play him proactively and reactively at the same time. It just comes with experience. The more you play the character, you'll have a deeper understanding of how he's meant to be played. But overall, the strategist role is all about out-tempoing the enemy. You want to make sure that you're positioned in a way where you can output more healing, charge your ults faster, and basically keep track of what ultimates the enemies have in order to outplay them. Thank you, and that's all for this educational series. I hope this helped, and I'll be seeing you guys in the battlefield. Peace.